Okay, so we're ready to put the hinges on our project now. And one of the things you want to look at when you're putting your hinges on is the grain. So on the front of the box here, I've got grain that matches here and here because this used to be one piece. I've also got grain match here because that used to be one piece before we cut it off. And so you want to make sure that that's on correctly. You don't want to have it backwards where now my grain on over here is going this way and this one's going this way. And so you want to make sure that you still have the grain matched up like it should be. And then I have some pre-cut items like this, some pieces of wood that are consistently thickness going across. And what you want to do with that is you're going to end up putting those just on the back of your box and set your lid on top of it. What that does is it shims up the back so that the front closes fully. If you don't do that and you put on the hinges, oftentimes what happens is it gets what's called hinge bound, and the front of your box will remain in a slightly open position like this, and because it gets hinge bound, it gets so tight in the back. And so we shim that up in the back so that it can close fully. So we don't want it to get hinge bound, we shim it up. Then what we're going to do is we want these to be at a consistent measurement in. So we are going to put our hinges on the side over here and hold there and just mark on the edge. And I've got a little mark there, and that's where I'm going to bring this hinge in. And I'm going to put it on that mark, and then I'm going to make sure that the barrel of the hinge is lined up with that piece of wood that's shimming it up nice and straight. Might take a second, and then I'm going to trace out where the circle would be. So then I've got 4 circles there. Then I would do the same thing on the other side. Okay. Now, one thing that this was kind of hard to do. So one thing that can help you out quite a bit is if you get to the edge of the table like I have here, and I just use a clamp, and I'm not clamping it, I'm not going to clamp it real hard, but I'm going to clamp it down just a touch, just to hold it in place for me. So it's like an extra set of hands. And I really don't want to have an extra set of hands. I don't want to have a partner do this because a person is going to move and it's going to be off alignment. But now that I have it clamped up and in place, I want to make sure that everything is lined up just perfectly. And then I'm going to make those marks. I'm going to check, make sure I got those in the right spot because I might have had them. Yeah, those look pretty good. So then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Come over and measure. So now I'm going to have an equal distance, and they're going to be lined up with one another side to side. And I'm going to mark the center of those. Okay. So I've got my hole markings marked with a pencil, and a really good idea is to get a hammer and a screw or a nail or something and just put it right in the center of where the center of those holes are going to be, and just give it a slight tap and really make sure it's in the center, because what's going to happen is your drill bit oftentimes will wander on the wood, but now I'm giving it a place where it'll seat and it'll go in and it's going to follow that hole. So I want to make sure I'm in the center there and mark that with this. And I'm not hitting it hard, I'm just giving it a little tiny tap right where I want that screw to go. So that's just a little trick that you can do. Okay, so now I want to talk about using a drill. Okay, so now we need to get our drill bit, which is, we like to use a 5/64 drill bit, and we need to put it in the drill. If you've never used a drill before, you want to know that there's a button over here and a button over here on the side. And if I have the button pushed in like I do now from this side over here, and squeeze the trigger, then this spins that direction. Okay? And if I push it in from the other side and hold the trigger, it spins the other direction. Well, if I push the trigger and hold the black collet, I want you to look right here. It closes. If I go the other direction and hold it, it opens up. So I'm going to take that 5/64 drill bit, I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to hold that. You got to center it, and I'm going to hold this. I'm trying to do it so you can see. And I normally wouldn't have all the fillets sticking out, but or sticking inside. But for this project, I like to put the drill bit in quite a ways so that people don't accidentally drill through this wall and make a hole on the inside of the project. So now, hold this in and squeeze the trigger, and it tightens it up a little bit. So what we need to do now, a lot of people will, when they drill the holes, will break the drill bit because they'll push it in there and then they'll move the drill. So all you have to do is squeeze the trigger, go in and back out. You don't have to reverse directions or anything like that. So I made my little marks where I want the screw to go in. So I just take the drill to those marks, apply a tiny bit of pressure, and go in. Well, now I'm ready to take my hinges and my screws that I got from the teacher. And what works best, seems at this point in time, is these blue handled screwdrivers match up with our screw heads the best at this point. So I just go ahead and start putting those in there. By hand. And I usually get them started. I don't tighten them up until I get all 4 screws in there.